We'd like to get your thoughts. You've already thrown it out to Twitter, which is going berserk already. The debate that was kind of started this week by Sir Alex Ferguson, he's got this new book out, and he basically said, there's the quote, that he had 4 world-class players during his time at Manchester United. Cantona, Giggs, Ronaldo and Scholes. Only 4. To which most people said, what a load of rubbish that is, because he must have had more than 4 world-class players in that team. It's quite disrespectful, isn't it, to people like Peter Schmeichel just to throw him in there. Rio Ferdinand potentially as well.
I think it's shocking to... Listen, obviously he said that other players were great, but to only say 4 world-class players when them players won trophies consistently. Okay, it's his opinion, but how you can have Schmeichel in there... it's all subjective. I think Roy Keane.
I think Rio
Ferdinand. But it's all subjective. But
Brian Robson earlier on, England captain.
To mention 4, I think is wrong. Totally wrong.
You can also ask the question as to whether Eric Cantona was world class. Bearing in mind his form in the Premier League didn't necessarily translate to Europe.
What's world class? What do you?
So what is it?
On winning stuff.
Some of these players have never played on the world scene.
Yeah.
Just a few tweets.
Like Ryan Giggs, for example, never played a World Cup, but you still say he's world
Just a few tweets off the viewers. A player that has won a World Cup or made it to a final or been in a team that has won the Champions League.
So George Best won the European Cup.
Yeah,
George says a game changer, someone who can win games on his own, and world class. Definitely a term banded around far too easily.
So what's world class for you?
What about Ibrahimovic?
World class for me is at the end of their career.
Yep.
With a longevity, who can affect games, who can change games, who can save games
at the highest standard,
at the highest level. I think the Champions League is the highest level.
Yeah.
I think people argue about the
it's Ryan like international football.
Ryan Giggs, I think is world class. Some people might not think he is because he didn't play in the World Cup or European Championships, but he's the most decorated player ever. He could change games, the game against Arsenal. I think Ryan Giggs was world class.
When you talk about being the most decorated player, though, Phil Neal's not far behind him, and you wouldn't ever say that Phil Neal was world class. But he won a lot of medals.
He didn't change games, though.
But he won a lot of medals. You put that as one of your criteria.
Ryan Giggs changed
but he wouldn't change games at right back, would you? Sticking up for Neely. Neely was, in his day, he played for 10 years without missing a game. People would say that he was, at that time, was world class.
What's world class?
Because I think a lot of what you've just said, consistency levels. I mean, would you suggest that Alan Shearer, for instance, was world class? Yes. He wasn't necessarily successful. I mean, I know he won the league with Blackburn and stuff, but he didn't win Champions Leagues, what you're saying. So I think it all is... I think the criteria is very, very different, isn't it?
The big debating point, that when you throw a name out there, and we've done this on the radio before, when you make the suggestion that Wayne Rooney is world class, that seems to polarise opinion more than any other name in world football.
I'm going with him for world class.
Yeah, so
I think especially even off of 2004, before his injury.
I'll guarantee you now the tweets that Robbie gets about that.
Of course, I know
the majority will go the other way.
Yeah, my feed get Kane. I get Kane on the feed, but I've always been. I like him. I love him. I love the way he's come on. I like his consistency from the time when he came in at 16 to now. I think I think he's world class.
David Beckham.
I think he's a world-class crosser. If you want somebody in the 1999, you say, we need a world-class player to put 2 balls in the last minute of a European Cup final, who are you going to choose?
Right on the money.
Who are you going to choose? You're going to choose Beckham.
If you're one of the best players in the world in your position at that time, then you're world-class, aren't you? If you're one of the best few players in the position. Now, David Beckham was one of the best right midfielders in the world.
Well, it is for us. It's not for Sir Alex, is it? The fact that he hasn't chosen Peter Schmeichel, for instance, and we would all think, in his day at Manchester United, is he the best goalkeeper in the world?
You could debate whether he's the best goalkeeper of all time.
Of all time, you would suggest yes.
There's never been a world-class keeper.
Yeah, can he not? You see, what I'm saying is, when you look at it, this is the best 11 that we've put together, whether you think that's right or not. I mean, there are other players that you could put in. But you could make a case for Jaap Stam being world-class when he was a Manchester United player.
Listen, I could make a statement for Dennis Irwin being world-class at the time. He was very quiet.
So
he was very...
right side is better
talk
than
about,
left back.
Talk about consistency
Every one of those
levels.
players were world-class, in my opinion.
So are we saying Messi and Ronaldo are bigger than world class? Because you can say I don't think that Ronaldo and Messi are world class, and then we're saying the likes of,
I think they're Suarez,
David Beckham, and that on the same level as them.
No, we wouldn't say that they're on the same level.
They're world class, but they're
above that.
They're better. They're better players.
They're better players.
They're the best.
I still think that Messi if we was going on planets, Messi would be on a different planet, then Ronaldo would be on
come on,
and then Jimmy's still world class, but I'm still going as Messi's on a planet on his own.
But are we not then, by going through the criteria that you guys have talked about, I'm not saying you're wrong, but are we not making it a little bit too easy to then be world class?
No,
because you're saying if you're one of the best at your position, you're world class. There you've got Sir Alex Ferguson saying that in all his time at Old Trafford, only 4 players during his career
but that's rubbish.
he considered world class.
It's rubbish what he's saying.
But are we not making that category too broad? I agree with you.
I think we
it's
are.
rubbish.
No,
but are we not including too many people?
No, because the players that he focused on most of the time, they were attack-minded players. They were people who wanted to go forward, create, score goals, excite the crowd, entertain.
You all played in great teams at various stages of your career. I was looking over there. I want to throw one of you in a second, actually. I've just thought of something. When you look at start with your Real Madrid team.
Yes.
Zidane and people like... I mean, how many world-class players were in there? All of them? In your opinion?
Well, you would suggest a lot of them were, yeah. I mean, when you look through and look at the individual careers that they had, for instance, Makelele has redefined this role as the Makelele role. He was brilliant at the time.
Is he world class?
Yes.
He's one of the best in the world, Alex.
Yes.
They named the position after him for crying out loud.
The fact that he never...
It doesn't get any more world class than that.
The fact that he never scored goals doesn't mean he's not very... he's not world class. Ronaldo, the records he set for Brazil for World Cup goals. Raul, the records he set all across Spain, which of course Cristiano's going to demolish very, very soon.
What about Closer?
But like they've all done.
What about Closer?
No, I don't think he is. No.
Yeah, he scored more goals.
I know he has now.
In the World Cup finals than anyone.
No,
and we'd say he's not world class.
No, I wouldn't say he was.
You see what I mean, Michael? That's where it becomes.
Sorry,
difficult.
Right was just a joke. I said he's quite close to me.
But what he's saying there, see,
Righty left.
Yeah, 90 liked it. So, Closer scored more goals in the World Cup finals than any other player. More than the great Ronaldo.
Yeah.
The Brazilian Ronaldo. Macca's just said, not world class.
I don't think he is, because when you watch
he's
him as a player, he's not a great player.
Yeah, he's a goal scorer, isn't he? Ronaldo was a great footballer as well. I mean, no disrespect to Closer.
No, absolutely not.
Because he deserves
On that
a
stage,
big
he's done
mention.
it.
But those players, most of those players won 3 Champions League.
But how can
trophies
Rooney be
in
world class then and Kloss not?
3 Champions
better
Leagues in
player than
5 years,
Klose.
most of those players did. World Cups, so of course they are.
He's a better player than Closer, better footballer than Closer. Much better footballer.
So it's about being a better footballer.
I think you have to be,
you need the whole package.
Was Roberto Carlos world class as a left back?
No, Ashley Cole.
Ashley Cole was better.
Well, I would say Roberto Carlos is better than Ashley Cole.
No chance. He just done a couple of fancy free kicks into
Roberto Carlos won 3 European Cups in 5 years.
In that
Champions League.
So you would say he is, and you would say he isn't. So
yeah. I don't think consistently.
And I squeaked up as well.
Where were you?
Roberto Carlos was world class.
Was?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I just feel that,
I think also when you train, when you play, when you know them very well and you see them week in, week out, their ability, definitely. There must have been
somebody just tweeted, John Turner, is Fergie a world-class manager? Only ever managed one club, v Mourinho, who consistently every club he's been at.
Let me ask you one then.
Yeah.
If I say to you, who's the best player that you played with? 2 guys, often...
2 guys
was he world-class?
No, because
you would have played.
He had the ability to.
He was incredible.
He had the ability to.
He was incredible. Steven Gerrard was the best I played against. I think he's world class.